During the week that May 15th falls each year is National Police Week. This year, that is May 15th through 21st. We have Officer Venotis Williams here to share with us what that week means to him and the Valdosta Police Department. National Police Week is a time for us to celebrate those that protect us each and every day. As an officer, how does it feel that the whole nation celebrates this week?
You know, that's probably one of the greatest feelings you can get. Sometimes being a police officer, we feel like we may be unappreciated by the way people may talk to us or the way we may be viewed. But however, during that week and other days, it is the greatest feeling to have someone say, you know what, officer, thank you. I appreciate you. If it wasn't for you, and just come out and just shake our hand. We're human just like everybody else. Make mistakes just like everybody else. But when we do the best we can, when we do what we feel is right, and we have people just walk up to us and say, thank you, it's just an unbelievable
Best feeling in the world, huh?
Best feeling in the world.
Okay. Now, often, especially with the news lately, we see the bad side. But can you share with us, a couple stories or a story where a citizen was very appreciative of you or another officer in the job that they did?
If I could tell you about one thing, this young man, he was a preteen. I used to always check on him. How you doing in school? What's on your mind? Do you want to talk about anything? And never really thought much about it, but I did it throughout the years. And whenever I didn't see him, I asked his mom, hey, how's he doing? Hey, tell him I asked about him. Let him know he can call me if he's having a problem. Years passed. I haven't seen the young man for a while. One day I was stopped on the corner just doing some paperwork. That same young man came and approached me and just started having a conversation. And this young man told me, he said, Officer Williams, if it wasn't for you, I'd be in prison. I appreciate you always checking on me. My mom always told me you asked about me. So with me, I'm just trying to make sure he's okay, but it meant so much more to him. And every time I see him and he tells me, if it wasn't for you, I would be in this much trouble. But he said he always tried to make sure he did right, so he won't have to tell me he did something wrong. And that really made me feel great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome story. And I'm sure there's plenty of stories like that all over the entire department. Now, I know you are involved with a lot of community programs.
Yes.
You're the main person over all that stuff. Anything community-wise, you're a part of it. Can you tell the audience a little bit about some of those programs and how much it means to the community to have those programs? Wow,
man, think of the programs. I think some of my two favorites would be the Shop with a Cop program and the DeFi, which DeFi being my #1 top because I've done that for over 20 years. And in this program, we mentor kids up to a year. Now, I had the opportunity to mentor one young man, and about 15, 20 years later, I mentored his son. So to see that program still carrying on, going forth, and some of the adults now in the middle 20s who I had when they was 11, 12, 13 years old, some of these adults in their middle 20s would still come at me and say, I remember what we talked about. I don't do that peer pressure. I don't use that. And to have them remember it, to retain it. Some got old enough where I really, by face, don't remember them, but they can come to me and say, Officer Williams, you remember we went here and did this and that, you took me fishing and said, oh yeah, I remember you now. Yeah. It's just the greatest feeling. You're giving out to the community. Even though in your mind it may be small, in their mind it's the grandest thing ever. And that's where it matters, to have an impression on a young man, to have an impression on a young woman, and their families just as well. Their moms and dads and grandparents still remember you as being that officer who's there for their child. It's a great feeling.
And I know you've talked about going to these kids' college graduations afterwards, and how that makes you feel.
Yeah. On my desk, I have 3 invitations that I've received in the past of those kids from elementary school, mentoring them, to they graduated college. I said, all I want is an invitation to your college graduate. So they're sending me the invitation, and I post it on my wall as one of my, look at one of my babies, look at one of my kids, because I call them all my babies. So I said, look at my kid, he's graduated, she's graduated, on their own business now, and look at them. So I'm proud of them.
It's a really great job that you guys, with those programs, the FI program and the Shop with a Cop. And, I talked with the guy who headed the golfer program last week. But it's awesome that the Valdosta the Police Department is part of all these things and trying to be involved with the community. But we appreciate you coming in and talking to us, telling us all this information. And thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back here on City Focus.